Okay, in the first video of this series, I gave you a basic overview of the Google Tour Builder site and an introduction to what we're going to do. Now we're going to look at starting to create a tour of your own. So basically you can click the Create a Tour button here, or if you're in some other area of the site, you might find a Create a New Tour button in another location. On this screen, you enter the name of your tour and the author information. So you can put your name here if you don't think it's appropriate, or if your school has policies against using student names, which is often a good idea. You can put a team name or something like that there. In my case, I'm just going to put mine. And I'm going to create a tour. Okay, now it used your title and author name here, but of course you could always edit those. So if you decided that you wanted the team name, you can change it here, or if you wanted to change the title, that would be easy to do. And I would like to add a photo. Now again, this is the introduction slide, so this photo should really have to do globally with the presentation, or just one that you'd like to include there. There are a couple of different options here. I've actually seen this search window be more complex, where you can get directly to your drive. In this case, you can't, but in other situations you can. So basically, if you've created photo albums in Google, you can do that. You can upload your photos directly. You can search directly for your images here. So if you didn't want to do that pre-work, you could do the search here. You should know that your search is somewhat limited. The message down here will tell you that these images are images that have been confirmed that you have the license to use. So they've been set up under a fair use policy that allows people to use them for free. So kind of a nice feature, actually. If you're going to use a search here, you're sure you're not getting something that's copyrighted. Or you can actually put a URL or the address of an image you find online. Now, it's not the website itself, that's the address of the actual image. Okay, so let's just go to Upload Photos, select Photos, and I've got them here. I'm going to switch my view simply because of the way I've named them. It'll be easier to find. Open up. And there's a map of Mawa over here. And then I can type a tour. And I have this rich text box, which means that I can do things like bold, italicize, underline, put in hyperlinks, use lists, etc. Okay, I've gone ahead and cut and pasted some information from Wikipedia actually into here. This is just to be used as a sample, and I'm going to delete it. You want to tell your students that this is not an okay thing to do, to just go out and find information on the internet and copy and paste it without any kind of modifications. So they want to do original work in here. Now when I'm ready to do the next part of my tour, I can simply say add a location. And I can either move this map around and, let's see, find the location on the map, but probably easier is to try a search. Let's just try Ramapo College of New Jersey. And that will bring me right to this nice view of the college in the right location, and I can simply say add it to my tour. You do have this center place mark option on the right, and that just gives you a slightly different view. If I don't like that, I can go back. And then once I do have the view that I'd like, I can also just hold my mouse down and roll the wheel to zoom in and out a little bit, get an exact view that I want. And when I'm done, I simply lock the view so that that is the view that my users will see. Next on the list is to add photos and videos. You have a variety of ways to do that. One would be your albums. That's if you've put things in Google Photo, specifically you'd be able to get them there. Your YouTube, so if you've uploaded, you can see I have a bunch of videos that I've uploaded to my YouTube channel. More on that later in the class. You can upload photos or upload videos directly. And then under more, you could take a snapshot if you're Camera has a webcam. You can do a search for images and do it that way. You can search YouTube directly for videos. You can get an image URL or a YouTube URL. And those are just the web addresses of those things. So let's try by selecting photos. We're going to say upload images and select photos. I'm going to click the first through the third of these college images. So I've named them College 1, College 2, College 3. A way to do these in mass, to not have to do them one at a time, is simply to click the first one, hold down the Shift key and click the last one. If your images are not in order, let's just say that you needed one up here and then you needed this one, you can hold down the Control key and you can jump around and select. You can also deselect with the Control key if you make a mistake. And you can use those in combination. You can click on the first one, hold the Shift key, click on the last one, switch to the Control key, and then deselect one or more. I'm simply going to select, using Shift click, the 3 images I want to put in there. If you decide maybe you don't want one of these images, you can mouse over it and you can hit the trash can. That would remove it. You can rotate them using these 2 buttons. You can also add a caption here, so each picture could have its caption. Okay, and finish this up. Okay, you have to remember when you're done to actually select these so that they're in there. And now you can see that all 3 are in there in order. If I don't want one of them at this point, let's say that I really don't want this picture of the arch, while I'm looking at it, and I can hit the trash can, and that one will go away. I can also use the edit link here to call the picture up, and I can, title it. I have the description is what I put in previously. So if you want to finish this off, you can do that and save it. And then of course you can also use these buttons to navigate through your remaining images. When you're done, you close it. You can use the plus sign to add more to what you already have. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to upload that 3rd image again, let's say. Add the caption. And select it. Now what I would also like to do here is add a video. So you can see that I've opened up this window, I've gone to YouTube, I've searched for Ramapo College of New Jersey, and when I did, I picked this particular video. So I can go through that process here if you'd like. You simply come to YouTube, you do your search, you find what you want, click on it. I'm going to pause it there because it's going to start to play by automatically. And then here on this share button, you're going to open that up, and that's going to get you the URL of the address of the video that you need. There's also this embed code. This is if you're trying to put things directly into a web page, but we don't want that. We just want the URL here. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back to my presentation. I'm going to hit plus and then say YouTube by URL. I can paste that in there, so you could do that either by a right click and paste or by a Control V. It doesn't really matter. Preview it if you want, and then simply select it. So now you can see that this has 4 separate items. It has 3 images in a YouTube video. You can label this with a date. So this is more or less just going to be a label. It's not going to do anything functionally. But I'm going to start by putting a start date, and let's just say that it's September the 13th, 2018. You know what? I'll leave that one blank for now. Because I'm not looking for a date range here, I'm just looking for a single date. You can also leave the whole thing blank if you'd like. The next option is to be able to put some text. So let me just do something that I'm going to tell my students not to do. Okay, and here's a Wikipedia entry for it. And this is just getting text to fill it. Of course, you wouldn't want to do this. This is copyrighted. Or at least if you did, you'd want to source it. Using these rich text box, now I've just selected that. This way I can bold it. Let me come down here and say things to see, things to do, things to know. Okay, we'll take the bold off those and we'll make those a numbered list. So these controls are very simple. Basically bold, underline, italic. You can make things into lists. You can indent, which you really don't have a lot of room for here, but you can increase or decrease the indent. And then if you have put formatting on here that you decide you don't want, this button at the end is going to remove all that formatting. Okay, the last thing you want to do, or last thing you have the possibility of doing, is putting in hyperlinks. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say about the college. So I'm just going to use that as my text. Remember that document way back here. This is where I got some hyperlinks. So I'm going to copy that hyperlink. And you could do this right through your web browser. You don't have to store it first. I just did that for expediency. And then when you click link, this is the text to display. So about the college is the text that people are going to see. But that is the link that they're going to go to. I like the fact that they gave you this test this link button. So you can know that you have the right address. Also, it's a good idea with a lot of these is to open it in a new window, because if you don't, if you leave this unchecked, what's going to happen is the web page you link to is going to replace your tour. And the only way to get back to it is going to be able to use that is for people who use the back arrow. They tend to get lost. So it's a good idea to do this. If you do want to include something like, I'll say okay there and say, simply select the text, hit the link button, change this to email address, test email at email.com, and that's now an email link. Okay, so that's the basic functionality of the rich text box here. Use these tools to organize things. Use them to lay out the information in such a way that it's usable, very usable for the people who are watching your tours. The next option is to change the icon. So if you click on there, you can see that you have a series of different icons you could use. You could change the color, you could change the look, and you can actually use a custom icon. So if you had something located in your Google Drive, say, let's take a look at that. I'm going to come into this picture and I'm going to take this college image and I'm going to share it. And I'm going to say get shareable link. Now right now this is anyone with this link can view it. So that's a nice link for me, and I'm going to say copy. And in Tour Builder, if I come back to change options here or change icon, I can paste that in there, say OK. And it's going to attempt to put the image right here. Now you can see that that image didn't come out very well because it's not an icon. If you're going to use something like that, you want to find an image that will work. So Let me just say free icon for school. And you could find those images and download them, upload them to Google, and then use the URL. So if you want to go to that extent, you can. It's not absolutely necessary. So I'm just going to put it back in my regular icon. Now the last thing we're going to look at in this video are the advanced options. Is to add this KML KMZ URL. So basically this is a way to import some information into your tour from a file in one of these formats, which are map formats that's posted on the internet. So this is not something you're too likely to do. Okay, and that's how you create a complete location. What I'd like to do is to preview this. So I'm going to say done editing, and then here's my tour. So if I come into the introduction, this is what somebody will see. They'll come in, they'll have a map. The pin will be right here for the start. There's the information underneath, and then when they click next, they'll be out here. So they have all that information. They have a couple of links that they can use. So that will pop open information about Ramapo. This is an email address. So these are not usually a great thing to put on here, because what they're going to do is they're going to prompt the email client on people's computer, and very often those are not set up. If you're not using something like Outlook, it's just not going to work for you. So a lot of people use web-based email, and it's not going to work for them. So we may not want, you have the option to put that email in there, but you may or may not want to. Also, when they're up in this section, they can page through the different images and the video, and even play the video. Okay, that gets you through all the nuts and bolts of starting your tour, doing your introduction slide, and then doing your any individual slides. So we'll come back in another video. We're going to look at putting this all together and the options you have for the tour at large.